Oh my gosh, the new Guy Falls. Have you heard of this new Fall Guy, Guy Falls, something like that? The kids are playing Ross.
Fall Out Boy is my favorite band, so yeah, I can't wait to talk about this.
Fall Out Boy, have you heard about that on the Twitch and the Mixer?
The old tweet machine, yep, hearing all about it.
Perfect. Play the ad. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Your daily drop on gaming, live streaming, and social media today is, will Fall Guys grow your gaming channel? Happy Monday, gentlemen. Andrew Perrin, I saw that last Friday, I believe you actually snuck in a Fall Guys stream. So what was your first impression on the game?
I mean, obviously I love the game. It's a ton of fun. It was the first stream I've done after my audience was asking me to play it all week long. And I got a question, which ended up being the theme for today's episode is, is it good to cover Fall Guys as a content creator? Like, is it going to help you grow? And that led to today's discussion. And my first answer that I found just from looking at the game myself, I'm playing it on all the different platforms. I multi-stream, so I was doing this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch simultaneously. And my answer would be no, it will not help you grow. I didn't get any new people coming in to watch me play Fall Guys. I only had my current audience who were excited about the idea of me playing it because they followed me from Mobile Legends. They were the only ones watching me do it. So I had significant less concurrent viewership. I had significant less, actually I pretty much no follow growth on any platform. And the only people that were watching were the people that already followed me. So it's just because of the nature of the title, the nature of the way the game works. I don't think it's bringing in new people to watch someone new be good at Fallout Guys, unless you're like Tim the Tatman and you have this thing going on where you haven't gotten any win for so long that it becomes a big deal. Then when you finally get the win, it becomes a trending Twitter thing. That happened last week. It's a game that you can already watch someone that you follow that you like be entertaining by playing it. And that's the appeal that it has. So I don't think it goes past that. I don't know, AWOL, what's your take on it? Have you been keeping up with the streams and what's been going on this past week with the game?
I've been watching all the Fall Guy streams, and maybe you want to pull up Dr. Disrespect's stream there. I think that this is going to follow a similar trend as something like Gary's Mod, which is a game that tons of huge YouTubers have played. And here's Dr. Disrespect's stream here, and you can hit play on it if you want. Don't worry. But he ended up collaborating with PewDiePie, and they generated a pretty huge audience. It's a fantastic collaboration title with YouTubers in particular, just like Gary's Mod. But Gary's Mod is not a huge, let's say, quote unquote, streaming title. It's a YouTube title. It's a collab title. It's a for funsies title, but it ended up being wildly popular for quite a long time. And I explored this title with the TGN team many times, looking at different ways to grow YouTube channels. And Gary's Mod always popped up as the game that had all the right stats. It had, high demand and low supply of creators making content about it. Really high average views per video. And the search was great for it in terms of Google Trends. Everything looked right. But when it comes to building an entire channel around a game like Fall Guys, and Dr. Disrespect obviously already has an existing channel, there has to be a lot more meat on the bone, a lot more content to cover and to make about the game. And I think moving forward, the content to make about Fall Guys is going to be new updates that are coming out in the future, and then is going to be collabs with your favorite YouTubers having fun. And that's about it. Now, if they decide to add other major content and they decide to add, let's say more competitive or esportsy type stuff, or some extra level of skill beyond what the game currently is, then I think Fall Guys could give YouTubers the ability to make a lot more content about the game. But as it stands right now, and I've already chugged about 20 or 30 strategy videos on the game, you can cover basically the best tips and tricks to beat each map, and then that's it. There's no more content to make about the game after that. But let's just go by the numbers. This is Perrin's opinion and my opinion, but we have Google Trends here. Google Trends is your friend. What are the numbers telling us about Fall Guys, Perrin, in comparison to other major titles that have launched since the beginning of 2019 that are big in the streaming space? And
clearly, people love watching this content. I mean, it's So we compared it to Valorant, Apex Legends, and Call of Duty Warzone, which are the most recent titles to kind of make it big in the top echelon of YouTube, Twitch, etc. And you can see Fall Guys is actually significantly far above, at least currently, those trends. And it's just now kind of plateaued here at the top. When we talk about these trends, there's always the initial rise. And that's the biggest peak that you ever see, is this initial increase. This is its largest amount of viewership or search interest that you will ever see for this title. There are pretty much zero instances of games or search interests around gaming topics that are able to surge back up to their initial launch point. I mean, look at Valorant over here. It's a good example of what I'm talking about. You see the initial really high peak here at the very beginning, and then it never reaches this point ever again. So we're seeing the highest point here, and the highest point of Fall Guys is higher than Valorant. It's higher than a lot of these other titles, at least as they are currently, but it's never going to reach this point again. It'll slowly trend downward from here. And so the question on everyone's mind, I guess, or at least on content creators' minds, is how long is Fall Guys as a trend going to last? Because if it lasts, a year to two, then you've got maybe some potential to actually build a channel around it, figure out like speed running strats or something like that, or be able to get a little bit more in depth to draw in new audiences on it. There's some possibility. If it's going to last only for like 3 months, like most new trends last, then no, it's really not going to have any ability to grow new audiences or bring in new audiences because of Fallout Guys. It will only be able to really highly engage your current audience with really, really fun, enjoyable content.
It's Fall Guys, not Fallout Guys. They messed you up at the beginning of the podcast.
I did. Fall Guys, I mean.
I win.
The Fallout Boy messing me up and tripping me up again. Curse that band. Yeah, so, I mean, I'd be interested to know what you guys think, but my prediction would be that this will be a short-lived trend. It's peaking right now, but I would say in the next 3 months, it will settle way, way back down. People, unless the developer is able to really add tons of new content very regularly, you're watching the same kind of courses over and over and over again. It does get boring. I mean, I started watching Fall Guys when it first started getting big, and I'm already pretty bored watching it. So,
yeah, it is Fall Guys, not Fallout Guys. But I agree with you. So this is one of those situations where can they jump on this as quickly as Fortnite and Epic Games jumped on Fortnite when it trended. And the Epic Games team was able to do that. They were able to create new content, new DLCs, new skins, new battle passes, the whole nine, and just really pump out content. Maybe you did say Fall Guys, and I just heard Fallout Guys in my head. But they were able to pump out content incredibly fast, immediately when they recognized they had a hit, and they put their entire company's resources behind that game in order to add fuel to the fire when it started taking off. So Fall Guys is going to need to do something similar right now. They can't have like lots of maps 3 months from now. They can't have major modes 3 months from now. And that sucks. Is that an impossible development task? Probably. They need to have new content today. And next week, another piece of content. And in 2 weeks from now, another piece of content. And they need to just bloat their entire studio and focus everything on this mega hit they have on their hands. And if they did, then this game could, I think, end up settling into a position as being popular as something like maybe Rocket League, potentially, in the longer term. Certainly it's not going to be as big as like a major title like any of the Battle Royale games, like the mainstream Battle Royale games, because the level of skill in this game is much lower. But I think they need to crank out content and crank out content fast. They did announce a new level that's going to be coming out, but like that's not even close. And I know that might be like an impossible ask, but they need to be talking about, hey, we've got an announcement by the end of this month. We've got 20 new maps. Let's go. Like that's where they need to be to keep interest in this game. And it might be impossible to do that at this point because in interviews I've seen, they didn't think this game was going to be a hit. They weren't counting on it being a hit. They were completely surprised that this game ended up taking off the way that it did. And so they are probably caught completely unprepared with a smash success, and they probably pulled all their development resources off the game right before it launched. And then they're like, oh crap, this was a hit. What do we do now? I think that's the position that they're in. Ross, what's your take on that?
I think Devolver knew this was going to be. Actually, I know they knew that this was maybe not as big as what it is now, but they knew it'd be successful just because. I mean, this is the modern day Mario Party, essentially. And you're right; they're going to have to be cranking out all kinds of content. They're going to have to. It is an impossible task, even if they were prepared for this. Even if they were prepared that they thought that this was going to be such a huge hit that it has turned out to be, there would still be no way to get that much content out that quickly. So it is going to be interesting. These next few months are going to be very, very telling for what the future actually is going to look like for the game. So I think right now, I think it's going to be a long-term success. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be anything near what like Fortnite or maybe even what PUBG is, but they're certainly heading in the right direction. So, I mean, right now, it's still, like I said, it's all speculation, and it's how much content can they actually crank out, like you said.
No, I think it's easy to predict where this game's going to go. If you want to pull up Google Trends again, and Perrin literally created the algorithm to study Google Trends for games, and we've done this. We probably have done this more than any other people on Earth. Like, we are psychos when it comes to Google Trends, and I still look at it every single day, every single game. And if you look at the slope here at launch, this is not a traditional launch spike for the game. So if you look, Perrin, you see that little spike there at the beginning of that blue line for our audio listeners. What you're looking at in Google Trends is you're looking for a spike when a game initially launches. And then almost immediately, within a week, if it's a quote-unquote spike trend, aka a flash in the pan game that just goes away, the game will immediately you'll see this crushing downward turn almost immediately. Valorant, for example, earlier here, for those of you that are watching the video version, you'll see that immediate slope down after Valorant launched. That's typical for a game that has a lot of launch marketing and then stops the marketing and just settles down to the next DLC. Fall Guys, however, in Google Trends, it does not follow that pattern. It has the spike, it went down a little bit, and then it went up again after that. And so for me, that shows that this is not a flash in the pan game and that it's actually going to maintain a certain level of interest for a bit. And it may have a slow slope down after this, but it's not going to be a sudden drop in terms of popularity and interest in comparison to other games that have a big launch marketing cycle. And the reason is people picked up this game and they are interested in this game and it got shared virally. It wasn't an artificial bump from a marketing campaign that made Fall Guys wildly popular. That's what you see in spike trends. And when you go look at Google Trends and you look at almost every game, especially like single player RPGs, if you want to pull up any single player RPG on this timeline, Perrin, even like Spider-Man game or Batman Arkham Asylum or anything like that, that's a single player game, God of War, I don't know, it doesn't matter. You can see them spike at launch and then they just die after the game launches, and there's like almost no interest whatsoever. I mean, it didn't launch in the last 90 days, so you'd have to expand the timeline there, but it dies immediately. And that's because the interest in these titles is artificially built up from the marketing campaign to launch the game, and people aren't actually talking about those games or sharing those games virally afterwards, and that's why the interest is gone. Fall Guys naturally has garnered viral sharing interest. Streamers have decided to play this game without being paid money, and that's why the game got wildly popular. And I think that they're going to continue to play this game at least for the next few weeks until there's no more new content. And so that's where the burden is on the developers to come up with new content and to launch that new content and to make everybody excited about it. And it needs to be wacky. It needs to be crazier than anything you've ever seen before in Fall Guys, sillier than ever, more ridiculous, total shenanigans, new modes, things like that. And then streamers will continue to play the game. Because you know why? Here's the big thing. Streamers are tired of try-hard games. They're tired of try-hard games. They're tired of having to play esports level titles all day long. They want to be able to take a break. They want to be able to have some fun. They want to be able to collaborate with other people without having to try hard and focus 1000% on the game they're playing for hours and hours and hours. And Fall Guys gives them that break. And if you take a look at this Google Trends line here, you see the big purple spike with God of War as new games came out. Thank you, Perrin, for bringing that up. There's a giant spike when the new games come out, and then the game dies after that. It's like 90% of the interest is right when it launches, and then it goes away. And that's because these games don't have viral sharing interest after they launch, and that's why they die. But Fall Guys is an exception here. So I think it has potential to continue to be a trend, but for the creators out there who are asking themselves, should I play this game? Should I try to build a channel around this game? No. You should do an 80-20 strategy, in my opinion. 80% of the content you make on your channel should be a game that can actually grow your channel. And then 20% of your content can be you playing Fall Guys and collaborating with other creators that aren't in your space, that you could never collaborate with otherwise. Fall Guys allows you to connect the dots between two creators who have vastly different types of content. Dr. Disrespect and PewDiePie are a great example. Their content's not the same either. It's memes content and then hardcore esports shooter gaming content. But they were able to collaborate because of Fall Guys. And this is your chance to collaborate with other channels that you never could have before and use that as your big growth opportunity, while this is the ultimate collab game for creators. And I hope it stays that way for quite a long time.
Okay, so I want to make a comparison here because I think the biggest comparison that you can make now to Fall Guys is Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go is a game. It was kind of like a surprise phenomenon. It turned into like a fad for a while, and here you see something very similar in its peak. Like, it didn't even have the huge marketing; it just blew up instantly. So it has a really, really like fast acceleration, a little bit faster than Fall Guys, almost straight up. And if you notice, it has like a second smaller peak because that's everybody who's in the fad. The fad is still going on. The developer tries to update, doesn't do a very good job. Boom, everything kind of dies the same as every other trend dies. That's the situation we're looking at with Fall Guys. Is Fall Guys, we've got this not quite as sharp initial rise, but if we expand the timeline out, it'll look sharper. Will the developer follow up with more content? And if so, we'll see it maybe be made a little bit longer, but it will actually just be a fad, and it will eventually go away. It's like any other trend, and it will eventually decrease. So I do think 3 months to 6 months is the most amount of time it'll be good to actually be playing and covering this with your audience before they get kind of bored of it as well. And so without the developer working on it, I would only cover it a little bit right now just for fun with your audience as something different. But again, like you said, well, 80-20 rule. I would definitely 80-20 rule it and put it in the 20% of what you're doing. It's not going to attract new audiences unless you do something outside of the box with it. Tim the Tatman kind of inadvertently did something out of the box with it, and we haven't really brought up the viewership of his stream yet. He actually posted this, and I love it when creators post these numbers. He had max 347,000 people watch him because he actually finally got a crown in the game.
That's a lot of people.
And that's a lot of people watching him, but that's a unique event. Tim the Tatman is already an established streamer. He's already like good at video games, so it's surprising for him to struggle and be really bad. So it's kind of fun to watch him be bad. And that's one thing that's cool about the game. And while you were saying, you don't have to try as hard. In fact, losing in this game can be more entertaining sometimes. And so it's okay to like not win in this game. But Tim the Tatman happened to create his own pinnacle event by not winning for so long that it started to become a meme. And then by the time he actually won, it took so long, it became this huge thing. It actually trended on Twitter the day it happened. And he got, he got similar max viewership as, we were close to seeing with Shroud's comeback and Dr. Disrespect's comeback. And he won't see these numbers again without doing something similar, but he created an event where, he created an event around it that other people hadn't quite done. And it's funny. It's kind of funny because he did it inadvertently by being kind of bad at the game, which was funny.
That was great. So the main Fall Guys Twitter account was trolling him over it. Twitch was front paging him the whole time. I mean, he he had full industry cover. All the press outlets were covering it as well, because it was like the event at the time. And it's the most memorable thing to happen in Fall Guys. Like, that's the moment that Fall Guys like went quote unquote mainstream in gaming. I think that's the moment where it went over being just a party game to being a game that's going to stick around for a bit longer. And when they come out with new content in the future, everybody's now heard of Fall Guys because it trended to #1 on the internet for a moment. And a lot of games don't accomplish that. And it did so virally, which also makes it more favorable in my opinion.
It literally outsold Taylor Swift.
I mean, Taylor Swift is like the #1 influence in the world. So there you go. But Fall Guys. So let's look at, I mean, obviously here's Tim the Tatman's Twitter. And Fall Guys has an official tweet here promoting what happened. It got millions of views on Twitter as well. So this guy got a lot of traction. But let's talk really quick. The future of Fall Guys. Do you think they're going to be able to crank out the content fast enough, or is the game just going to die like everything else, where they can't get the content out fast enough? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to get the content out fast enough. I don't think there's any way that they could do it. I mean, you look at the way, especially since they already haven't done it by now, it's already, I would say it's already too late, because the people who started watching in the beginning of this, like me, we're already pretty bored of watching it. Like, I have a hard time watching Fall Guys streams now, unless it's like a huge thing like Tim the Tatman. And I'm only going to watch at the very pinnacle of that event, because I've seen all of the events. I've seen my favorite creators do this already. It's actually been out for like quite a while now. And like, so yeah, a lot of people haven't watched it, and that's going to keep it going for a while. But those of us in the beginning, we're already kind of worn out. We've seen the same game types over and over and over again. We've played it. We probably played all the game types too. Without adding more by now, it's already too late. I don't see how they have the development power to develop enough new content quickly enough to make it last. So my guess would be it'll pan down to this kind of bottom level that you see on these other trends in the 3 to 5 months from now.
That's interesting. So before I even get my answer, because you've played it and you've seen it a little bit, is the burnout pretty quick on this game?
No, not with friends. Not with friends. If you're playing with friends,
yeah, it's totally a social game. So if you've got friends that are all playing it, it's great. But if you're playing it by yourself, it's not going to be that entertaining. So if you're not a streamer and you're not playing with your friends, it really doesn't have that much appeal to play unless like you're playing with family. I mean, it's really like a Mario Party kind of game. It's a social game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I played it by myself for a couple hours, and the challenge of it was fun for about an hour or two. And then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, because at a certain point, it's the randomness of the game and the silliness of the game is just becomes incredibly frustrating when you're playing by yourself. But if you can laugh it off with buddies and you can talk smack with each other, then it makes the randomness and silliness feel all right. That becomes the entertainment. Whereas if you're playing solo and you're like try hard soloing, it's not the entertainment, it's the annoyance that gets you to uninstall. Ross, get us the hell out of here.
Alrighty, this was your daily drop. Full replays are on YouTube. If you missed any hot tips or just want to see us again, you can go subscribe to the audio version, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, literally anywhere that you can listen to an audio podcast. We are probably there. Give us a nice rating on whatever platform you're on. We will be back tomorrow. Happy creating.
Oh, and did I forget to mention? Oh, hi, guys. Did I forget to mention that we're live right now on Twitch, DLive, Facebook? Unfortunately, I forgot to redo the key on YouTube. Sorry, Trovo and Periscope, because of Restream.io. You know that's right. Link in the bio and the description below if you want to get $10 off Restream.io and use our code DROP25, DROP25 with no space, DROP25 with no space to get 25% off Restream.io. Adios, amigos. Fall Guys, but only 1 in 5 streams. Do it as like a sub Sunday thing, a collab thing, all right?
Our podcast does what you do in the dark.
There you go.